Hello everyone. Today I'm going to give you some tips and techniques to do the best in IELTS exams. Let me start with speaking today. First of all, let me explain the structure of the speaking test. The entire exam, the entire test, speaking test, is 12 to 14 minutes. That means either the examiner will stop you around 12 minutes if you are very weak, and if you are really good, the exam will continue to 14 minutes. There are three different sections of the test. Section 1 is an interview with the examiner. If it's an in-person exam, the examiner will appear in front of you and talk to you in person. If it's a Zoom meeting exam, the examiner will appear on a screen and then you will talk to the examiner. The first part contains three different frames. Frame 1 usually asks you about your whereabouts, where you live, whether you like your house, whether you like your village or town or your country, and so on. Or you'll be asked about your job, what job you do, whether you like it or not, and so on. Then the examiner will go to the second frame. The second frame and the third frame are almost the same, and you'll be asked questions about your likes and dislikes, what you want to do in the future, what you'd like to do in the future, or what you did in the past. So these questions will focus so that the examiner can analyze your language content, so that the examiner can get the best out of you from the grammar structures, pronunciation, and vocabulary. In the second part, the examiner will give you a speaking topic card. It usually starts with describe something, describe a book you've read, describe a place you went to on holiday, or describe a house you'd like to live in the future. So it also can cover the present, past, and the future. So the examiner gives you the topic card and a pen and a paper, and you are supposed to take notes on what you're going to say for 1 minute. Once the 1 minute note is over, the time is over, the examiner asks you to start speaking. And you have to continuously speak for 2 minutes uninterrupted. This means the examiner will not stop you unless otherwise you stop talking, or when the time frame is over. Once the time frame is over, that is, you finish 2 minutes talk, then the examiner says thank you. That means please stop. But if you stop in between before the stipulated time, the examiner might ask you further questions to continue to speak about. So here you continue to speak 2 minutes, and at the end of the talk, the examiner asks you a round off question to show that the second part is over. Let's see what happens in the third part. Part 3 is a discussion with the examiner and the candidate. Based on the second part, the examiner asks questions regarding your experience in life. Let's see, you were talking in the second part, you were talking about a book that you read, a book that was interesting to read. Now the examiner will ask you in the third part questions related to reading. What kind of books people read in your country, what kind of books children read, adults read, and so on. So there are three frames here in third part. The examiner can go from a very simple theme to a difficult one, or sometimes if you are really good, the examiner can go from an intermediate level question to an advanced level question. Here, what you should do is to give your opinion without thinking about whether the examiner will be offended or not, or do not worry about giving your opinion, whether it's right or wrong. It's not a problem. But the examiner's point of view, the examiner's perspective is to see whether you can speak fluently, whether you can use those criteria. In the next video, I'm going to give you ideas as to how to maximize your band scores and what to do and what you should not do in all three parts. Thank you. Let's see in this video what the examiner is looking for from the candidate. There are 4 criteria. Criteria number 1 is fluency and coherence. The examiner wants to know how you perform within these 14 minutes. The four criteria are fluency and coherence. The second criteria is lexical resources, that is vocabulary. Third one is grammatical accuracy and range. And the fourth one is pronunciation. Let's look at these four criteria one by one. How to score the best in fluency and coherence? When the examiner asks you questions, you have to continue to give your answer with a lot of detail, as much details as possible. For example, let's take this question. The examiner asks, what do you do in your free time? Now I'll give you an answer which is not a very good idea, and we'll analyze why that is not a good idea. The examiner asks, what do you do in your free time? And your answer is, in my free time, I watch TV. What's wrong with this answer? The answer is too short. There are no details. Look at a better answer. In my free time, I always read books. Sometimes, whenever I have time, I watch a video or a film in the evening. Okay, you can do even much better. Let me give you a better answer. I'm a very busy person. I work as a nurse in a general hospital, so I don't get a lot of free time. But whenever I get some free time, I sit down and watch a film. Mostly I watch films on Netflix. But on Saturdays and Sundays, I usually take my children and we go to a park or a beach to spend our time. Because I know quality time with your family members is very important in life. And that's a better answer. Because you are using a lot of cohesive devices, you are using connectors to continue to speak. For example, I used so, because. You can use that is why, as a result, consequently. These words actually help you to lengthen your answer so that your fluency is achieved automatically. And second, why this answer is a better answer, the last answer I gave you, because it has details. It tells you are a nursing officer and that is why you don't have a lot of time. And it tells the examiner that why you think spending time with the family is very important. So that is an ideal answer. So what I am asking you to do is to give the examiner a lot of information that are connected. So please don't get me wrong. When I say a lot of information, it doesn't mean unconnected information. You have to give as much information as possible connected to the question. Alright? Let's look at the second criteria for the speaking test, which is lexical range and resources. This simply means vocabulary. How much vocabulary you have within those 12 to 14 minutes. Let's go back to the same question. What do you do in your free time? Look at this answer. In my free time, I read a lot or watch TV. Now we don't have a lot of vocabulary here. Read a lot, watch TV. That's all. Look at my second answer. I work as a registered nurse in the general hospital, and therefore I work against the clock. So I very rarely get time to spend with my family. But during my weekends, I make sure that I watch a movie, but we usually watch movies at home. Once in a blue moon, we watch a movie at the cinema. Now if you look at my second answer, I used better vocabulary. My first idiomatic expression was I work against the clock, which means I work all the time. And the second one was once in a blue moon, which means very rare. You may use, instead of once in a blue moon, every now and then, every now and again. Such idiomatic expressions will be very useful to get a better score for your vocabulary. But a word of warning, please do not use vocabulary as and when you want. Make sure whatever vocabulary you learn are appropriate for the task. Let me give you a small example. Plethora. Many people think plethora means a number of. Yes, correct. But you can't say I have a plethora of brothers and sisters, which is wrong. You can only say I have many brothers and sisters, or I have several brothers and sisters. Plethora means a variety of. Maybe you can say Sri Lanka is blessed with plethora of fauna and flora. In that case, it's correct. So once again, be very careful when you use a word in front of the examiner. You first check check the meaning of the word in the dictionary and make sure that you have it in your vocabulary list. The third criteria is grammatical accuracy and range. Simply meaning grammar. How much grammar do you have? How much grammatical mistakes you are making during those 12 to 14 minutes? Let us go back to the same example. What do you do in your free time? I am watching TV in my free time. What's wrong? You can't say I am watching TV in my free time. I have to say I watch TV in my free time. So when you say I am watching TV, actually it comes from singular translation. You directly translate from your mother tongue, from singular or Tamil. Sometimes things can go wrong. So make sure to say those things in English, the way native speakers use. So let us give a better answer for that with a much better vocabulary as well as grammatical accuracy. Since I don't have a lot of time, I usually watch a movie or read a book only in the evenings. So here I am using a complex structure. I am starting my sentence with since. So learn about complex structures, because the examiner cannot give you more than 5 bands for your lexical resources if all your sentences are simple structures. What do I mean by simple structures? One sentence, one verb. So if you have 2 verbs, then you make it a bigger structure. Let's look at an example. Where do you live? The examiner's question is, where do you live? I live in Kandy, which is in the central province of Sri Lanka. So if I break this full sentence into 2, I have 2 simple structures. My first one is I live in Kandy, one. Second, Kandy is in the central province. So I join these two simple sentences by which, so now my answer is a complex structure. I'll repeat that again. I live in Kandy, which is in the central province. So likewise, you need to look for complex structures. You have to ask your teacher or watch a YouTube video or other resources to see what is complex structure, what is a combined structure. These 2 things are very important for you so that you can earn a score of more than 5 bands for your structures or your grammatical structure. If you are continuously using simple structures, you cannot go beyond 5 bands. For 6 and above, you need to use complex structures and combined structures, combined sentences. And those are the 2 key words. Our fourth and last criteria, pronunciation. Pronunciation is also part of the criteria, so you must be very careful. If you are continuously making mistakes, like the common mistakes that we Sri Lankans make, for example, school for school, is start for start, you are going to be in trouble. You can't go beyond 5 bands. Those are individual words, errors in individual word pronunciation. But then if you want to go beyond 5, you need to have your intonation in place. What do I mean by intonation? The ups and downs of language. Let's go back to the same example. What do you do in your free time? In my free time, I don't have a lot of time usually, so in my free time I watch a movie or sometimes I read a book. Whenever I have time, I take my family out to the beach or a park, because I know it's very important to have quality time with your family. This answer does not have my ups and downs, so I don't have my stress or intonation in place. Let me try to say the same thing in a natural way. In my free time, I usually make sure that I take my family to a movie or to a park or a garden, because I know it's very important to spend quality time with your family. Now in this case, I was stressing certain words and my voice was going up and down, and that is very important to go beyond 7 bands. One important thing is connected speech. So if you are spitting out words one by one, for instance, in my free time, I always watch a movie or read a book, and this also cannot go beyond 6 bands. If you want 7 bands, you need to be natural. Your intonation patterns must be natural. Having said that, I'd like to warn you, you should not sound like a TV announcer or a presenter on a stage. So you should be natural. Imagine that when you talk to your friend or your family member, you won't be using a lot of body language, structure, gestures and all that. So you'll be normal. So in front of the examiner, be normal, be yourself. That is important.